Okay, so let's see how the word is a matter of spiritual power. It's the spirit. It's not mere speech or words in the Bible. Because if you're wicked reading these words in the Bible and you feel some type of way about it, does that mean you're in the Spirit of God? No. When you're in church and you're singing, are you in the Spirit of God? No. Only when you're in the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order are you in the Spirit of God. Think about the difference between being in the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order, pure masculine, heterosexual, transcendent, morally precise, focused, moral intensity, doing the right thing, versus being in church, acting like some care bearer or something, singing meaningless songs, and paying God mere lip service. Isaiah was right, meaning he could have been also wrong at times. Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you hypocrites. You pay mere lip service, and your hearts are far from God. Jeremiah 29, but if I say I will not mention his word or speak any more in his name, his word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in, indeed I cannot. So people are truly in the Spirit of God. They're truly meant to serve God. They are not comfortable doing evil. It's like a fish out of water. They're scrambling to get back into the Spirit. The Spirit is inside me like a fire that comes out of me, and there's nothing anyone can do about that. The government is doing all kinds of stupid stuff, and drugging me and fuming me, and yet I still proceed in doing God's work while they proceed to be cowards. Isaiah 33:11. You conceive chaff, you give birth to straw, your breath is a fire that consumes you. So their breath, is the formula of God is that wickedness burns like a fire. So when their breath is their spirit, their actions move a certain way, and it becomes the fire they consume. The fire consumes them. It doesn't help them. The fire of God. It's like fuel for the fire. It's like putting oil, on the fire, throwing fuel on the fire, where I can exist in the fire. We see in the Psalms, right? So who can dwell in the eternal fire? And they're afraid. I can dwell in the eternal fire because I have on the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, the buckler of truth, the shield of faith, the sword which is the Spirit, the feet that are fitted with the readiness to obey God. They do not. Everything else that one needs. All right. Again, the word mention, right? Mention. It's not a coincidence. The word slaughter is the word laughter's scrambled. It's called an anagram. Because the planet you live on is pure evil. All the cultures they allow are evil, and that includes being a thug. It includes being a heavy metal person. These things are things that they propped up with the occult formula to make it so people are evil and feel like they're doing something. When I was hanging out with thugs, I had a higher cause, right? They say the Son of Man was a companion of gluttons and tax collectors, but wisdom is proven right by her deeds. My actions have vindicated my decisions in life and have revealed why I made the decisions I did 1,000,000 times over. Matthew 11:23. And you, Capernaum, will you be lifted up to the heavens? No, you will go down to Hades. For if the miracles that were performed in you had been performed in Sodom, it would have remained to this day. And you, Santa Clara County, and you, America, and you, the nations of the earth, will you be lifted to the heavens? No, you'll go down to Hades. With all in the information age, with all you all knew better. You knew better than to cheat me out of my right to leave. You knew better than to follow those weird frat guys, those arrogant European governing class and all the other governing classes. You knew better. You and your offspring will go down to Hades. If you're mad at me for it, that's rather unfortunate. You have no one to blame but yourselves and your pathetic, and your parents, your forefathers and foremothers, and your pathetic inability to use logic to overcome your emotions. I don't understand why you people don't take that route. All right, Matthew 15:7. You hypocrites. Isaiah was right when he prophesied. I got you again. So that's Matthew 15:7. He said, Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you, showing that the Bible is not the authority of God. It is the King of Kings is the authority of God. Genesis 11:1. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. How come they don't anymore? Let's go down to verse 7. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. I don't think it's a coincidence that Baal is the deity of confusion. And I've seen Baal in a dictionary describe him as a name for the one true God and not just the adversary of God in the Bible. It's not a coincidence. Isaiah 6:9. He said, go and tell this people, be ever hearing but never understanding. Be ever seeing but never perceiving. How? I think he just went up to the Jews and told them that, and they're like, okay. He told them that with his actions and impressed it upon them. Make the heart of this people calloused, make their ears dull, and close their eyes. Otherwise they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn and be healed. Then I said, for how long, Lord? And he answered, until the cities lie ruined and without inhabitant, until the houses are left deserted and the fields ruined and ravaged, until the Lord has sent everyone far away and the land is utterly forsaken. And though a tenth remains in the land, it will again be laid waste. But as the terebinth and oak leaves stumps when they are cut down, so the holy seed will be the stump in the land. So people will still seem to have some semblance of decency or something, but they're just stumps. They're the walking dead. They're people without the heart to do the right thing. Judges 3:1. Listen very carefully for those of you who are foolish enough to think it's not a Royal African Falcon martial art order. What kind of order do you think it is? Jackie Chan? Buddhist monks teaching Kung Fu? Withdrawn? Who don't even believe in one God? What kind of order do you think it was? American military, police, intelligence, right? Quantico and them? You know? Maybe like the movies or something? Who did you think it was? Of course it's a Royal African Falcon martial art order. No one else is trained. No one else is trained by God, and no one else is morally precise. Did you think it was the military, the police? Okay, that's very stupid to think that these people. Okay, perhaps it's them when they're human trafficking. Okay, it has to be an order with a pristine and flawless order. So immediately, all the groups in the world are ruled out. The Buddhist monks, for example, and the Japanese Shinto doing martial arts, right, their religion, they don't even believe in one God. They don't believe in the one true God. American martial artists, intelligence agencies, right? You know, like Quantico, like the TV show, again. It is stupid not to know that it's the Royal African Falcon martial art order. That's like you think it's George Bush and the Pope and Joel Osteen, okay? Not someone who goes beyond Martin Luther King. What happens when you haven't trained martial arts for generations? You become the laughing stock of the world. You use cultural appropriation to pretend you're chosen by God, like David Carradine in Kung Fu the Legend, like Chuck Norris. You just look like an idiot, weird, goofy fool without any heart, relying on the propaganda system, technology, and things that complete cowards with not any masculinity or heart would rely on. How could you miss that for a moment? So Judges 3 makes this clear. These are the nations the Lord left to test all those Israelites who had not experienced any of the wars in Canaan. So there was wars in Canaan, and it's about to describe, talk about the nations that the Lord left to do what? To test the Israelites. Some of you say, well, why did God allow the world to be so evil? War is a very unfortunate thing, very stressful, etc. Hardships come about, rapes, murders, pillaging, what have you, torture. So God said, you Israelites, quit being bitches and learn divine warfare as the moral of the story, not something that actually happened in this world. He did this only to teach warfare to the descendants of the Israelites who had not had previous battle experience. He did this to teach them because they did not have battle experience. What kind? Modern warfare? No. MMA fighting? Hell no. Morally precise warfare for God. Only I am experienced in that. And I'm the last one ever to be experiencing it. Never possible. The anger, where were we here? The 5 rulers of the Philistines, all the Canaanites, the Sidonians, and the Hivites, living in the Lebanon mountains from Mount Baal Hermon to Lebo Hamath. They were left to test the Israelites to see whether they would obey the Lord's commands, which he had given their ancestors through Moses. Remember, Moses learned. Anyway, like I was saying, remember in the story, Moses learned to be a man who was powerful in action. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the book is called Acts. Okay, so he learned martial arts from the Royal African Falcon martial art order in the story, because the falcon is the symbol of Horus, and Horus is a deity of not just war, but of pharaohs. So royal African falcon. And of course, the foundation of Egypt was black. If you think that it wasn't, you've lost your mind. Think you can trust science on Egyptian history? Boy, you are insane. Look at the history of Eurocentrism. Look at the history of ethnocentrism, of white people lying about these things. Look up eugenics and newgenics and transhumanism. They continued eugenics and called it newgenics, but do you think they didn't continue their propaganda campaign for white supremacy with all those token minorities and racist white people in all those cultures? All those proud and arrogant anthropologists? All those arrogant historians? All those racist, controlled opposition, liberal and conservative historians? My goodness. Okay, so he did not learn modern warfare. They don't teach white people, okay? They don't teach military, police, they don't know how to teach this stuff, okay? You can't teach them the martial arts of God through their American martial arts systems, military, police, what have you, okay? Because these people don't know them. It's not in their genes, it's not who they are, they're not from those trees. They're just nerds and jocks, etc. Yeah, not being racist is the facts. Racists have interrupted my video. And I'm tempted to call them names, but I won't. And I'll tell you the truth. Any race or group or nation that interferes for their mere flesh-based rules and pathetic, conceptions of pride deserves to be called names, tortured, flogged to death, and thrown into the lake of fire. If you don't know that, my goodness, what do you know? If you don't know that people are willing to sink to the level of interfering with the most righteous man's ever's work, deserve to be called names and seen as the lowest filth in society, what the fuck do you know? Do you know 1 + 1 = 2? Like, I have to explain this. Shame on you people. Anyway, so like I was saying, to see whether they would obey the Lord's commands, which he had given the ancestors through Moses. Okay, this was to test them, just as Judges 3. Okay, this is to test them to see if they obey God's martial art order. Judges 3 makes it crystal clear. It is a warrior order. Exodus 15:3. The Lord is a warrior, the Lord is his name. He put these nations there to test them in warfare, mind, body, soul, and spirit. What do you do when faced with an army? David and Goliath. He put them there to test them to see if they would obey God's commands and be in the Royal African Falcon martial art order. Okay, Ham begot Mizraim, Egypt, and Ham begot Cush. Cush begot Nimrod, the first mighty warrior on earth. A Royal African Falcon martial art order. And again, Moses learned martial arts through Egypt. Without Nimrod and without Egypt, Moses is just a pussy that doesn't know how to fight, doesn't know how to lead an army. Very straightforward. The Lord is a warrior, not a scribe, not a sage, not a craftsman, not a nerd, not a government official. Okay? Do I have to explain how he's not some swimmer in a Speedo as well? I gotta explain this. You disloyal, rebellious brood of evildoers. Listen to what he says next. The Israelites lived among the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Going back to 2 Samuel 5:2. The blind and lame will never enter the fortress of God. That is the figurative speech going on there. And then David replies to them and says that they're the blind and lame after he takes the city of Zion, the fortress of God. The city of God, the fortress of Zion. Okay. Verse 6, listen very carefully to this part. All you females, shame on you for shunning me. Shame on you for not being woman enough to stand with me. Listen very carefully. And all you guys, shame on you for how you raise them. Shame on you for who you marry and date. Shame on you for not obeying God through me. Listen very carefully. They took their daughters in marriage.